Hey everyone, welcome. So you've played around with a large language model and it's awesome, right? But taking that cool demo and turning it into a real production-ready app, that is a whole other ballgame. We're going to look at the essential toolkit you'll need, not just for today, but for what's coming in, say, 2026. Let's get into it. Okay, so let's say you've got your hands on a beast of a model. Amazing, right? But here's the real question. How do you make it actually useful for you? How do you get it to understand your company's private docs or, actually do things in the real world? And do it all without blowing up? That's the journey we're going on right now.
The best way to think about a base LLM is like a brilliant brain just floating in a jar. It's got all this incredible intelligence, but it's totally cut off from everything. It's naive. It doesn't know your context. So to make it truly useful, we have to connect that brain to the world. And for that, you're going to need a toolkit.
All right, first things first, step one. A generic AI, it knows a ton about the world in general, right? It's read the whole internet, but it knows absolutely nothing about your world. I'm talking about your specific documents, your data, your business. So our first job is to ground it in your reality. And this is where a little acronym called RAG comes into play. RAG stands for Retrieval-Augmented Generation, which is a fancy way of saying it's the technique that lets your AI look things up. It's like giving your AI a library card to your company's private documents, your databases, or even live data from the web. This is absolutely key to making sure its answers are actually accurate and specific to what you need.
Now, I know what you might be thinking. Hold on, what about these new models with these ginormous context windows? Can I just stuff all my documents in there and call it a day? And, well, not really. For most real-world apps, that's just not practical or cost-effective. RAG is still way, way better at finding that one specific needle in the haystack piece of info. Plus, think about it. RAG is essential when you're dealing with data that's constantly changing.
And look, building a RAG pipeline from scratch, it can be a real headache. You've got to worry about all the stuff like data ingestion, chunking, embedding, retrieval. It's a lot. But luckily for us, some absolutely fantastic open source frameworks have popped up to make this whole process way, way easier.
And what's really cool is seeing the different approaches these frameworks take. You've got something like LangChain, which is kind of the OG code-first toolkit for linking all the pieces together. Then you have DeFi, which is totally different. It's this powerful visual, low-code thing that's perfect if you have non-coders on your team. And Llama Index, it's laser-focused on just one thing, being the absolute best at indexing and retrieving data. The takeaway here is that there's no single best one. It all depends on your team and what you're trying to build. Okay, so quick recap. Our AI is now knowledgeable. It can answer questions based on our private data. Awesome. But what if we want it to actually do stuff? Not just talk, but act. That brings us to the second super important piece of our toolkit, giving the AI abilities.
Right. This is where we make the jump from a passive know-it-all to an active assistant. How do we give our AI, well, hands and feet, so it can actually interact with the world and get things done for us?
And the answer is what we call an AI agent. So an agent basically uses the LLM as its brain, its reasoning engine to figure out what to do. But here's the magic part. It uses tools. A tool is just a simple function the agent can call. It could be anything, sending an email, running a database query, calling out to another API. This is what gives the AI actual real-world power.
And this comparison just nails the difference, right? A standard LLM, it's a passive brain. It spits out text. An AI agent, though, is an active worker. It doesn't just tell you what it already knows. It can figure out what it needs to know, go find that information, and then actually perform a task with it. Game changer.
So we've got knowledge through RAG and we've got abilities through agents. Great. But how do we actually wire all of this stuff together? You've got data sources, models, tools. It can get messy really, really fast. And that brings us to the third part of our toolkit, actually building the thing. This is where visual builders have just completely changed the game. AI workflows can get super complex, and these low-code platforms give you a drag-and-drop canvas to map everything out. You can visually design your whole system, prototype it, and tweak it on the fly. And the best part, it's not just for coders. It makes it so much easier for everyone on the team to see what's going on and actually contribute. Let's look at two of the big players here, Langflow and Flowise. Think of Langflow as your go-to for rapid prototyping. It's super intuitive, perfect for just quickly sketching out an idea for an agent or a RAG chain. Flowise, on the other hand, is more of a power tool. It's built for advanced users and gives you a ton more depth and flexibility, which is what you need when you're scaling up a really complex production-ready system. I'm telling you, by 2026, this visual way of building is gonna be the standard. It has to.
Okay, we've built an AI that's smart and capable. We're feeling good. But before we even think about letting this thing out into the wild, we have to tackle what is, without a doubt, the most critical step of all, making it safe, reliable, and trustworthy. Yeah, this quote really says it all. Without guardrails, you just have a powerful but totally unpredictable tool. It might do something amazing, or it might go completely off the rails. But with guardrails in place, it transforms into a solution, something you can actually rely on.
So what are we talking about here? What do these guardrails actually protect you from? Well, all the scary stuff, really. They stop the AI from generating toxic or harmful content. They prevent it from leaking sensitive personal information. They keep it on topic so it doesn't just start rambling. They even help prevent factual errors. And, crucially, they're your main defense against attacks like prompt injection, where someone tries to hijack your AI for their own purposes.
And the good news is, putting them in place is a pretty straightforward 3-step process. First, you just define your rules. What topics are okay, what tone should it use? Simple stuff. Second, you integrate a validator, basically a little gatekeeper that checks every input and output against your rules. And third, you decide what happens when a rule is broken. Do you just block the response, try to fix it, or maybe just ask the user to try again? You're in control.
So, wow. After that whole journey, let's just take a breath and step back for a second. Let's look at the complete toolkit we've put together. This right here, this is the modern stack for building a real AI application that's truly ready for what's next. It really boils down to these 4 pillars. First, knowledge, using RAG to connect your AI to your specific data. Second, abilities, using AI agents to give it the power to actually do things. Third, construction, using those visual builders to put it all together without losing your mind. And finally, reliability, wrapping that whole thing in guardrails to make sure it's safe and trustworthy. You see, the tools to build these incredibly powerful AI applications, they're here. They're more accessible than ever before. The purely technical challenge is, for the most part, being solved. So now the real challenge shifts to us, to the builders. The challenge is to use this amazing toolkit thoughtfully and, most importantly, responsibly. So the only question left is, what are you going to create?